sometimes.
Listen in your office, in your car, or even your neighborhood bar.
We're doing it. We're doing it. We're having fun. We're making it happen.
It's fun time.
Open your mouth, close your eyes. We're going to give you a big surprise.
And here it is.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to Who Are These Broadcasters? Everyone's favorite show on the Who Are These Podcast Network that is live on Tuesday. I know I'm going out on a limb there, Eric, but I feel like we're the favorite Tuesday show over here at Who Are These Podcasts.
Oh, no one wants to admit that, but it's obvious, you know? I mean, otherwise they would be telling us to stop. I mean, we really have found something amazing. Hello to you.
Hello to you too. This is always the most fun hour that usually lasts an hour and 45 minutes of my week. It's great fun. We've got so much stuff. As always, I'm Christian Bladt. That is Eric Zane. I will be spinning the videos, and Eric, you're going to handle the super chats. And I think there's already a very important announcement from the super chats, correct? Or at least from the chat.
Absolutely. I understand that we have a brand new subscriber, and it was so important to me that I immediately forgot the person's name because I didn't write it down. So who is that again?
Kurt Gore. He has become a YouTube member here on the Who Are These Podcast channel, which all of you are able to do. You don't just get this show. You don't just get Who Are These Socials. You don't just get to watch Who Are These Podcasts. I almost said broadcasters live, but you get to, all the bonus episodes and fun stuff. Carl did another emergency episode yesterday. I was at Disneyland with my kids all day, and as much as I love Stuttering John drama, I'm not caught up. So that's on my to-do list for after this.
That's very cool of Kurt. Thank you so much. And you too can subscribe. And my question to you, Christian, is how often do you go to Disneyland? Because it seems like every other time I talk to you, it's like, there you go. You're on the teacups again.
So this is the second time in the history of the show that the day before was spent there. And that's very astute. You know what, Eric, I appreciate it. Shows that you're listening. Indeed. And we have an annual pass that we will not be renewing because it's a lot of money for 4 kids. Oh. And they black out basically the entire summer. And then you can go like right before Halloween starts.
I just thought you hated woke people.
I do. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that that's why you go to Disneyland, because if you remember from the fight videos that we showed a few weeks ago, Disneyland, the attendees are not as woke as people might think.
Right. It's you'd have to go to Florida for that. But I'm glad you mentioned super chats because that is part of what I do. If you are so kind as to throw a few bucks our way, you too can have your words immortalized as Christians sign off to this show when it's all said and done. So
that's
if
right.
You see that somebody has a sign off and they've paid $5, we'll mention that. We'll put it up there. That is the clubhouse leader. Okay. So you can always outbid at the last minute and then get your words no matter what they are. Pro Gaza, pro Israel, you name it.
Figure out a way to get me to offend both sides of any conflict. Please do that. And remember the caveat, the highest US dollar amount. I think that's always important to circle back to, because there's some funny money coming out there. Right. I've seen super chats paid for in what I like to call potato bucks. Sure. So we only take cold hard currency. Or if you're paying in euros and it's a high enough dollar amount where I can feel like it's enough, that happened for Dang Lizard once. So, just keep the math simple. Don't give us 30 million lira, which I think isn't even a currency anymore, but don't pay us in that.
Couple things, loose ends to tie. You get the usual, no Carl, no watch. It's like, would you please grow up and relax?
Well, we did have bear boards and tables there in the chat asking, where's Carla? And what do you think the answer is to that? Where do you think Carl is right now?
He's counting his money, dickheads. What do you think? Why do you think we're here? That's the point.
He's counting Eric and my money, and we appreciate it. We're honored to be here, and we serve at the pleasure of Carl Hamburger. And great question. Carl wants to know, where is Carl?
What the fuck is he doing?
By the way, I'm going to spoil something. I usually try to not give away our clips, but if you read the description, Dylan in the chat, love my Trump. We've got some stuff for you. Okay.
Who doesn't love Trump? Everybody loves Trump. Come on.
Look, people think we don't love Trump because we play clips where he says funny things. I'm like, I think you misunderstand the relationship some of us have with the former
Again,
president.
grow up. Get over yourself. If somebody says something funny, we're going to play it. Morons. That's the point. Jesus.
We'll head through the world of broadcasting. We're going to start off in local news. Part of our starting off in local news will also feature a special announcement. So let's get right in there.
Others imitate it. We appreciate it.
Our first clip is going to help us let people know something that's going to be happening later in the show. This is a bit of a classic, but it comes to us from our pal Vinny Paulino of the Creep Off and thecreepoff.com. And since I know who's in the chat, everyone can go to thecreepoff.com to exercise their right to vote for Vinny in this week's Creep Off. But in any case, I can't imagine that's going to cause any trouble. In any case, so Vinny sent us this clip, and some of you might remember it, but I think it's particularly relevant today.
After the break, we're going to interview Eric Weihenmayer, who climbed the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. But he's gay. He's blind. So we'll hear about that coming up.
Okay. Yeah, same difference. And that's why I'd like to announce that a little bit later in the show, we will be joined by gay Mike Geary. He will be here. Everybody knows him from Who Are These Socials, Blind Mike Project, Kirk Minahan's show. We're very excited to have him with us. Eric and I and Mike, really all radio nerds. This is basically like Comic-Con for us when there's any kind of radio drama, and there's big radio drama out of Boston. So I'm very excited that Mike's going to join us a little later.
This is a underrated clip from Cynthia Izaguirre. Could you put that back?
Cynthia Izaguirre. Absolutely.
Izaguirre and what is Craig? I don't even want to say
Nope.
it.
Nope. I am not going to say Craig's name.
Craig. That is really.
I'm going to tell you what, Eric Zane. There is no scenario where you're going to get me to say Craig's name on the air.
He looks to be like he's been around the block a few times. At no point did anybody say, "Why don't we just change your last name to Nance?" Instead of something by the way, that Anthony would say when he's in his hospital bed.
I think that, and I'm sure no one in our live chat right now is going to send a super chat where they try to get me to figure out how we pronounce Craig's last name there.
Shit.
I appreciate everybody trying to help me, keep the peace, keep my various jobs that I have, not get into any kind of trouble. Chad's missing upper lip already. Thank you for the review, by the way. Chad's missing upper lip. Zia read a review from Chad's missing upper lip.
That's nice.
But Eric, I think you should read that one.
Yeah, well, that's a callback from 2 weeks ago. Craig Ninja Ellie is after former football player Steve Smith informed us that you can just supplant that word with ninja, and it's cool. So
everything's fine.
God damn, what a way to start.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a particularly old clip. This next one's only from a couple years ago, but it came to us from Dogcatcher in the Discord, the Who Are These Podcast Discord, a place that likes us a little bit more than the Reddit, but let me just stress it's a little bit. You think that's accurate, Eric?
I go to the Reddit from, and occasionally people will tell you to kill yourself and your children. So, you can only go up from there, really,
Yeah, exactly. They just want you to harm yourself. They don't want you to kill yourself. Yeah, I think that's the difference. But Dogcatcher is very astute in sharing this with us, and we appreciate that. Anytime anybody has clips for us that they share in the Discord or on Reddit, I'm not gonna lie, I don't go to the Reddit as much as I used to, and I feel like the show's better because of it. But if you want to share it, you can put it there, or you can send it to us on Twitter, wherever you'd like. But this is a great one where Dogcatcher comments on a reporter who is really trying to get quite a scoop here and not successful.
We tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment. Micah, back to you.
Yes, so the guy who died is unavailable.
The fact that she powered through though and said is unavailable. Micah, back to you. I mean, most people would just drop the mic and say, "I'm out of here. Fuck this shit."
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
Where's Micah's reaction? When they came back, that was what I looked for. I actually tried to find if he said anything. There's no more to this clip, but what there was when I found it and I watched this on YouTube, there was they give you the autoplay of like, if you like this video, you'll probably like this one. And boy, did I love this video. I had seen it before. And I know we're starting off with a couple of oldies, but look, sometimes the old stuff is the best stuff. If you were to look through my iTunes, that's probably
I mean, my God, I've seen, this is the first I've ever seen either of these, so I'm loving it.
That's good. Well, you know what? Then it's new to you. I hope this one's new to you too. This is all-time broadcaster pissing contest.
I've got to go now. I want to thank you both. Thank you. All right, it's back to you, Jim.
Ollie, don't let her go away. That's what. Does she have a response to that? Is she still there?
What's that?
Did the lady just leave?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. You should have kept that discussion.
She's back if you want her.
Yes.
She heard you.
Yes.
What would you like to know?
I would like to know a response to what the gentleman said. The gentleman's a very effective spokesperson for the company, but obviously the people who live there are not satisfied with his explanation.
Right. So what do you want now?
Oh.
Well, if I have to teach you how to be a reporter, Ollie, I'll do that later.
Oh, why don't you do that later, Jim? I think the lady expressed herself, and you're not here, you're there. Is there any question you'd like me to ask her?
And no, I'll give you lessons on how to become a reporter later.
Well, I'll give you some lessons on how to be an editor, because I was your boss once.
Yeah, you were, and are no longer. How did that happen?
Well, I don't know.
Here's Ernest Miller.
Oh my God, yes. Look at the chick. She's laughing in the background. She knows what's happening. How fantastic is that? I'm guessing there's probably a puddle at her feet.
For our audio only audience, the lady who had been interviewed, or actually hadn't been interviewed well enough, according to Jim Ryan, I believe that's his name, she's just wearing a bathrobe. So I am just going to assume this was years ago that after she saw him sass the pretty boy back in the studio, she ripped open that robe and said, "Oh yeah, come on back. Let's."
Yes, you deserve this. You deserve me. Get in me now. Oh shit.
All right, I just jotted down the timestamp of how I need that drop of Eric saying that. But I mean, come on. Like, I feel like, news anchor teams there, they probably hate each other. Yeah, this is probably common. This is, we just usually don't get to see it. You know what I mean, Eric?
Correct. There is no question that is absolutely true. And I'll tell you this, if you were to go back and review that, the fact that the guy in the studio could see that it was all breaking up and he brought it all back in like that. I mean, that's fucked up from the very beginning. All of this needed to happen off the air. I'm glad it didn't, but holy shit, was that fantastic. You're not my boss anymore.
What would we be talking about right now if it had happened off the air, And this measuring contest. I mean, this is great. This is all time one of my favorite clips already in the 3+ months we've been doing the show, and I'm glad I got to share it with everyone. Let's keep it local, and this is going to be exceptionally local. Anytime where you see any kind of promoted spot, and there's an announcer voice that says, I don't know, today's weather is sponsored by, that is always recorded. I mean, there's not somebody in the booth with, the one hand over the earphone saying it. And sometimes there's a glitch, and some of this might look familiar to our buddy Eric Zane.
That's why 13 Weather Ball is lit up in red with those warmer temperatures ahead, but the weather ball also blinking bright as we're not quite done with the rain that's in sight.
The 13 weather ball is sponsored by the 13 weather ball. The 13 weather ball is sponsored by
I think we got a little bit of a
Grand
weather ball
Rapids.
rap going today.
The
I think I
13
can
weather ball is
appreciate
sponsored
that.
by
A little bit of
LaFontaine
freestyle.
Lincoln Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I think you got the message there.
That was not my shitty internet. That is actually how that played on the air.
That's fucking great. I like how he goes, "Oh yeah, it's a rap," as if that's how it would sound when it.
Well, do you want to see his on the fly improv skills since
Sure,
you
yeah.
were impressed by that? Sure.
We're looking at temperatures hanging around 63 degrees right now, 67 in Muskegon, 65 in Holland.
Because this looks like a guy who knows a lot about rap remixes.
He probably listens to like fucking Will Smith or some shit like that. What an asshole!
But just the theme song from Wild Wild West, like even parents just don't understand, is a little too edgy for him.
Hello to Kelly, who writes, "You guys are great. Thanks for showing up. I'm back to work, so I won't be around as much. Take care, you two." And he leaves us a nice gift of $5. How sweet is that?
Thank you, Kelly. Well, that right now that would be my sign off. But I'm very distracted by this, Eric. What in the hell is the weather ball? How does it work? How do people in Grand Rapids just think that this giant shaft with a bulbous head is just okay for children to drive by?
I don't know. And a couple things. There's a lot going on right now. First, I will explain the weather ball, but the weather reporter, when he came onto the scene, he was rather fluffy and curvy with a really white face. So Chad's missing upper lip described him as, "Is that E-Rock?" God damn it. That's not a super chat, but it's funny.
Eric Nagel's a friend. I don't even get that joke. I don't understand it. I have no idea what Chad's upper lip is. The
fucking thing's like 100 feet in the air, and they light it up. And red means it's, I don't know. That means something. Blue means cold. Green means it's going to rain or something.
Yeah, apparently, I think they said that red meant it was going to rain. But look, unlike WATP, we do a little fact checking on here. This thing's been around for like decades, right? This is like a fixture. This station seems to be very proud of the fact that they have a weather ball.
They have a mascot that goes to like the children's hospital made to look like that. Like the head is the ball. And he's like, "Hey kids, how you doing?" I'm not kidding you. And people are like, "Oh shit, it's the weather ball. Holy shit, we're going to get raped."
Well, I am not necessarily one to just come here and shit on somebody's hometown, because I do have a clip that's not going to be, I'm not going to lie, this is not going to be good for our audio audience. I'll do my best to describe it. But this is a very short video of the mayor, Constantine Anthony of Burbank, California, where I live. And he was at an event, and there was a drag queen at the event. And he participated in a little bit of some paddling. So that's a drag queen right there, just giving him a couple of paddles. And Eric, if I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, if this happened in Grand Rapids, Michigan, would there be a little bit of blowback to it? You think?
We got it's a largely conservative area, but there's also a pack of wackos who think that this is bad. And we all know that we need more transgender people in schools, in my opinion, because look at this fucking video. This is what we have to have.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that in some places, if Carl were here, I would ask him if this happened in Rochester. I feel like they'd probably just look the other way. I feel like this is going to be in my mayor's campaign ad. When he runs for re-election, this is what we call outreach in the community.
Carl is one of those fuck faces who would like show up and protest this, after he's protesting at like the abortion clinic or some shit like that.
Well, that's one of those where I'm like, hey, I don't know anything about that, but if we wanted to bring someone to into the fray to ask them what their take on abortion is, we should welcome our special guest to the show. Blind Mike Geary. How are you, sir?
I've paid for many abortions, boys. Am I right?
Nice. Of course you have.
Yeah, I mean, look, who amongst us hasn't? Anyway, Mike, thank you for taking the time to be here today. I meant to introduce you as everyone's favorite co-host of Who Are These Socials. I think that goes without saying. Blind Mike Fury, we appreciate you being here.
Hi, Mike.
We're going to get to some radio drama, which is the best kind. Eric and I are very excited, but we're going to have a little fun with some other stuff first. And I wanted Mike to sit in on this. There was another Republican debate just last week, and someone we all know asked if I was going to play 30 clips again, and my answer is no. I am not going to play 30 clips, but that's because it wasn't 30 clip worthy. This one wasn't great, but let's dive into Who Are These Politics?
A lot of people talking about Christian and Carl's segment, making it great with Who Are These Politics?
We've got a little bit of a split vote here on Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't think he would be a great leader by any stretch of the imagination. Mike,
look at him.
But I find him immensely entertaining. And the only reason we have there's one clip from the debate that we would have either way. But the only reason we have really any clips at all is because everybody hated him on the stage. Do you have enough time in your life, Mike, to have any thoughts on Vivek Ramaswamy?
Not really. Although from what I've heard, I like that he is a little crazy. I know very little about him, but that's generally the kind of guy I get behind. So I'm willing to be swayed by these clips.
Right. I mean, you work with both Craig and Hackride, so obviously there's it's a very different standard for the way things run. And by the way,
actually, my vote right now is locked in for Richard Ojeda, but we'll see if these guys.
You mean the Army Major, Richard Ojeda?
That's right. Yeah.
It's interesting how you on your show, the Blind Mike Project, were able to swear off Stuttering John, but there was an allowance made, of course, for the Army Major because you don't really talk about John with him. And I feel like we've all gotten to know him so much better by him being on your show.
Yeah, no, there's no crossover because I can't talk about Richard when he's on with John because it's so goddamn insulting. John calls this guy a friend and pays him zero mind week in and week out. So I focus more on Richard when he's without that awful anchor around his neck.
And I just have this weird feeling that maybe Richard likes doing your show because you let him talk. But, again, that's not what we're here for. Right. We're here to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. And but first, we have to get to the super chat.
Thank you. Dang Lizard sent, what is that, €1?
€5, yeah.
€5. It says, nice get. I like Blind Mike. But did you know he can't read a room?
That's true. That has been said about me.
You know what? That's the first time I'm hearing that. I'm not much of an MLC guy, so I didn't know that. But that does sound like it would be true. But I don't know if you know the hook that we have for this show, Mike. Is that I tried out a bunch of sign-offs in the first few weeks of the show, and then what I decided was whatever the highest dollar amount super chat was, that will be my sign-off for that episode.
Okay, that's a good way to go.
They haven't really taken advantage of it in the way I'm expecting. So I appreciate the respect. And I'm sure that no one will take advantage of that this week and try and make me say anything that'll make me look foolish or possibly associate anyone in my family or any of my associates, or possibly anyone here at Who Are These Podcasts.
I wish they would, though.
Well, that's up to you. You just want to, you're like the Joker. You just want to watch the world burn, Eric. So Vivek Ramaswamy has this is very early in the debate. He has some out of the box thinking for who should be moderating the debate. And then he goes after someone who is moderating the debate. So let's take a look at that.
Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party.
Just going to pause that right there. I think Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan certainly would be useful figures for, asking important questions, getting answers that we wouldn't expect. But either of you feel like Elon Musk is someone that you want moderating a presidential debate?
One of these things is not like the other. I mean, come on. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was going to say I would love Rogan to do it actually. But
yeah.
It's funny that Elon Musk has gotten lumped in with this group just because he says like shit on Twitter. It's like, first of all, 5 years ago he would have been considered the most liberal guy in the world. Like he's trying to make every car electric. He wants to send us to space. Like he's not this radical political figure. What makes him radical is that we're all like, can you believe what he tweeted? Like that's the craziest thing that he does.
Right.
Yeah, I think if my grandfather was still with us and I read off his resume, he would just chalk up Elon Musk as another one of those damn hippies. You know,
Yeah, he's a liberal pussy.
Well, that is actually what my grandfather would have said, to tell you the truth. But you know, he's part of the greatest generation. So, all right, so Vivek has that part out there. But what does he think of Kristen Welker, who is there?
You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate?
I'd watch
They
that
wouldn't do
too,
it.
by the way.
And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go. Mr. This is how we get our country back.
The clip ends here because big shock, guys. She did not answer.
Well,
they just kind of moved on. Yeah,
but it's I like the attempt, but most people would see right through it. He's trying to garner support from all these people that he mentioned: the Musk followers, the Rogan followers, and then of course Tucker, and then Gutfeld. And then, you know, he's going to flip it on its ear and go after big media. Not a bad attempt. I don't know if I don't think it's going to matter, but
seems, I'm sure you guys know more about him or have been following him closer than I have. Based on that clip, he seems like a guy who's trying to do Trump, kind of.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he saw how Trump figured it out and he's like, oh, I can do something similar. It doesn't feel as genuine as it does with Trump.
I think that the thing that always made Trump stand out is he cared, but he kind of didn't give a shit at the same time. And I think that resonated with a lot of people who have the fuck it mentality. You know what I mean?
I think that's the only reason you get Vivek Ramaswamy, who, you know, way back when we did the first test show for this, I played a bunch of clips with Carl when Vivek was on the Breakfast Club, and you know they asked him tough questions, and he just kind of, I don't know, he was able to sort of hold his own. He's a very interesting figure, but I get why everybody hates him. Like everybody hates him, including Eric Zane. Later in the debate, he's not making friends, but I feel like everybody's gonna. If you listen till the very end, you're gonna hear a dig that it's hard to not tip your cap to.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case we've got two of them on stage.
Ramaswamy, thank you.
So
yes.
The direct, you know, he's directly speaking about Nikki Haley, which I probably should have mentioned. But the fact that his insult says, in fact, you know, Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels. In fact, we've got two of them on the stage tonight. The Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels, that gets nothing from me. But referencing that there's two of them, and our visual audience is seeing that Ron DeSantis, sorry, it took me a second. Ron DeSantis looks just as tall as Vivek Ramaswamy in this shot, and slightly taller.
Yes,
than,
that whole fucking lifted shoes or boots thing, which it seems so apt when you take a look at the way his shoes look when his foot is in, or his boots look when he is. God, it's terrible.
Well, you know, I think that we wouldn't be doing our job, Eric, if we didn't get to that in a moment. But the one more insult that he gives to Nikki Haley, well, she tries to have like a top-notch comeback to him, and I don't know. I think that this proves to me that she is too flappable to be the leader of the free world. You know, a lot of people have said possibly vice president, but I don't know. I think you need to be quicker on your 3-inch heels when something like this comes up.
Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which is about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Adult daughter.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
I've never heard it said like that. But you're right. Settle down. Jesus.
I mean, I think I don't know, Mike. I think Will Smith said it better. I think that
it's almost like she realized halfway through that she didn't want to quote Will Smith.
She failed.
that might actually be what it.
Keep my daughter out of your ass. Oh,
yeah,
I
like,
mean,
yeah. She was also like, "Keep my daughter out of your mouth." Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? Yeah. She gets one last dig in before this clip is over.
Stop eating my daughter out. Oh no. Oh God.
The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy answer.
You're just scum. I mean, come on. That's beautiful. I look, there wasn't a lot of meat on the bone for this Republican debate, as I mentioned. But I mean, that right there, that's the kind of genuine disdain for people. I don't know, Mike, if you saw the Good Day New York clip we played a little earlier. There was a reporter in the studio and a guy on the field. Clearly, they don't like each other.
Thank you. Oh, shit.
I did see the blind gay mix-up.
Yeah, that does happen from time to time.
Sure,
that came in from
me.
Vinny. Even before he knew that, well, that's the confusing thing too, because there's the other blind Mike over
gay blind Mike.
Yeah, there's gay blind Mike.
Yes.
At Gas Digital. So
it was ruined my reputation.
Anyway, Eric, you were referencing something about Ron DeSantis, and
Yes.
yeah, he was in
Sorry,
this debate.
I got ahead of you.
No. That's all right. He was in this debate. So was our friend Tim Scott, who, since this debate, by the way, he has dropped out of the presidential race.
Yes.
I assume so he can spend more time with his invisible girlfriend in Canada, I think was what we established. Chris Christie did not drop out of the race, but I guess he tried a little too hard to have drop the mic moments, the last one, because I got nothing on him. And DeSantis just kind of did what DeSantis does. But the clip that's making a lot of the rounds, and again, this is one I'll talk through for our audio audience. And also, Mike, I'll let you know what's happening in here. I try to include everyone when we play clips. But this is during a commercial break. And you may have seen this already. But Ron DeSantis is taking this opportunity to walk across the stage. And I mean, he is hobbling around like, I don't know, Ned Beatty in Deliverance. That's probably too old of a reference, but
wow.
I mean, he is not walking very leisurely. He seems very uncomfortable. And there's a lot of focus on the fact that, he's got some kind of lifts in his shoes or something. And I mean, just awkwardly walking across the stage. I don't know. I think his people would know whether or not he's got lifts, and they might say, don't move. Just stand still.
Exactly. Don't move. And then the fact that somebody actually was aware enough to just shoot video of him, knowing if he moves that this is going to make the rounds.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Now, Mike, I know that by nature, you're not really what we would call a political animal, somebody who follows and lives and breathes this stuff. But if you had to guess, if there's anybody that Ron DeSantis wouldn't want this hobbling across the stage to come to the attention to, does anybody come to mind just off the top of your head, somebody that you wouldn't want commenting on it?
I suppose that would be Donald Trump, probably.
Yeah, that would be Donald Trump. Yeah. See, it's not that hard to play the home game. And so former President Trump had some thoughts.
And I'm not wearing lifts either, by the way. I don't have 6-inch heels.
He's doing an impression of himself at this point.
Actually, the greatest moment of the
I agree. It's a way better impression than the Alec Baldwin one. The guy who calls into Stern is at least decent, but I don't even wear. So yeah, he goes a little too high. It's almost like we should give him the note, like, hey, Trump, dial down the Trump a little bit, because this is what the Trump fans want, though.
Actually, the greatest moment of the debate when Ron DeSanctimonious was walking off the stage, and his feet, it's weird, because his cowboy boots. So they have a high heel outside, but inside you got a big deal going on. He's walking like...
Demonstrate, and there's the walk.
No, he's walking off the stage like he's trying to balance himself. I thought he was wearing ice skates.
Do you
God.
think that there might be some kind of implication there, Mike, when he says
He's
that
a
he might
little
look like
lady, little lady Ron.
and have you
Okay.
seen him drink a beer?
That is fucking great. The fact that he's doing an impression of him. Trump has never let down for any of that shit. You can say what you will about the crazy shit that's happened, but that's fucking entertaining. And that's fantastic.
And
I'll tell you
because
this: Ron DeSantis doesn't have wood paneling in his house. I can show you that.
That's a great point. And he doesn't play surf music, does he, Mike?
He does not.
And because this is Who Are These Broadcasters, I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention for our audio audience, and we can't ignore the fact that RSBN does a split screen with former President Trump to let you know the promo code RSBN will give you up to 80% off at the My Pillow store.
Oh.
And there's a photo of Mike Lindell just giving a pillow a big old hug, which I feel like that's what the My Pillow does. So if you use the promo code WATB, well, right now you won't get anything. But Mike, we're listening. If you want to join the WATP family, we'd be happy to have you. You know, we're
very exciting.
We're great Americans here. We're patriots. I feel like that's accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Christian, breaking news.
Okay.
€6 from Dang Lizard.
Oh, he's just trying to outdo himself now.
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly right. And if this goes and it holds the way Dang Lizard wants it, you would be ending the show by saying, I'm Christian Bladt, and like Craig from the Blind Mike Project, I dabble with little kids.
1,000%.
That's an interesting message.
1,000% that's true. I think that's
that's right.
That might be accurate. All right. I feel like we can't get anybody to spend more than €6 on this show. There's no way anybody's going to try and make me say anything worse on this show. So
what a bar has been set.
I might be challenging our audience, but before we get to our really special segment that we brought Mike on, we've got a little bit more bullshit, but I think this is good bullshit. Let's dive into Who Are These Sportscasters for a moment.
Home of the hourly triple play.
WATB, who are these sportscasters? Just listen and find out. Who are these sportscasters?
I'm not much of a UFC guy, mixed martial arts. I think it's interesting. I don't watch it, but I'll tell you, I don't know how good UFC 295 was, but I'm going to have to say that it was nothing compared to the entrance that featured not just former President Donald Trump, not just Tucker Carlson, but also Kid Rock. That's right. The KID, the American Badass, all went with former President Trump to UFC 295, and I believe they were seated together. Let's take a look.
One of the bigger mixed martial arts fans I know, President Donald
There's
Trump.
the KID right there on the
taking his
left.
octagon
Look at
side
him.
seat for UFC 295.
Got his costume on. I think you'll see Jared Leto too.
Coming up at UFC
Coming up.
Jared Leto is there, yeah.
Live from Madison Square Garden.
Just waiting for Tucker to show
President Trump
up.
will
There
be
he
here
is.
to witness all of it.
Yes,
Four of the
you
very
can't
best
believe it. He's having so much fun.
This is probably one of the most fun days that Tucker has had in a while. I think losing his Fox deal is probably the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I can go hang out with Trump. I can interview him up against a Republican debate. And I mean, I'm going to let it play while we talk. But I mean, what an entrance. And, you know, getting the Kid Rock music to play while Trump comes in, that's great. But then you've got the actual Kid Rock there. And Tucker's just laughing up a storm. And and we do see Jared Leto, Morbius himself, right there. And it is indeed Morbin time. And yes, Jared Leto does shake the hand of Kid Rock.
He does. He does. Now, I mean, if you strategically placed hand grenade right in there would take care of a lot of problems.
Wait a minute. No. We're here to celebrate this entrance, Eric. I think you're missing the point here. This is a truly special moment. I do think that this was airing on TNT. they cut away. I don't know if Jared Leto did the sort of fake handshake to Tucker Carlson. You know, I don't know if he was like, all right, sit down, nerd.
Yeah, buzzer on his hand.
We should have been so lucky. Yeah. We'll see if there's another angle on the entrance. But again, this is a distinctively visual video, but there is someone who was filming on the floor as former President Trump was about to sit down. And you'll see a famous face seated kind of below where the president is going to sit. Right there, you can see Bill Burr is just seated kind of in the center. And his wife is giving the double middle fingers to former President Trump. And I don't care what you think about Bill Burr. I don't care what you think about his wife. Look, if anybody sees that and thinks like, oh, that's not hysterical. All right, let's just pretend it was Biden for a second. Also just as funny. If you're giving double middle fingers.
I don't care if it's baby Jesus. And here's the best part of this. Freckles is not aware that she's doing this. He's looking the other way. So, you know, there's going to be his phone's going to start going apeshit crazy minutes later. And he's going to have to lean in the knee and say, hey, what the fuck just happened a minute ago?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. People sent this to me like it was a big deal. And I didn't really understand. I'm like, who cares? It's not like she made a fucking scene. She wasn't even trying to get filmed necessarily. Like, I didn't think it was that big a deal, but I know some people were up in arms about it.
Well, you know, the usual people who hate Biden drive around with flags that say, fuck Joe Biden, and I don't see anybody crying. So shut the fuck up and laugh at it.
I mean, exactly. It's funny. You know, Mike, this doesn't make Bill Burr's special that he filmed in London a few years ago any less funny because this happened, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I don't know. There's an element of Burr that has like changed over the years for sure, but I don't think this is an example of it.
Yeah, he works for Disney. What the fuck you want him to do? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The guy literally has a Star Wars action figure that looks like it. Yeah. Things are a little different. Yeah, exactly.
Come on. Where's Club Soda Kenny to fucking get Kid Rock out of there?
Well,
Jesus Christ.
It's funny because your buddy Anthony Cumia, whom I know you filled in for, Eric, he did tweet. I should have grabbed a screen tweet.
That's actually specifically who I was referring to when I thought of the people who were outraged by this.
Well, Anthony Cumia said, "I'm surprised that Club Soda Kenny didn't kick Trump out of the arena."
Fuck, he said that? Oh,
yeah,
my God.
yeah, because Anthony tried to approach Bill Burr at a table recently. That's a different story for a different show. But
think that I didn't come up with that by myself. They're going to be like, "There's no way Zane came up with it. He ripped it off Anthony." I did not.
No.
Great minds.
Eric Zane's a racist through and through. Has nothing to do with.
I've been a racist much longer than that motherfucker. Fuck him. Chad's missing upper lip. For $4.99 wrote, "I'm Christian Bladt, and like Eric, I get my kicks from, do I say zoophilia?
Zoophilia, yeah. This came up last week. I don't know if you heard this one, Mike, but there was a great WATP episode that Carl did where they did talk to people who were zoophiles. Yeah.
Zoophiles, yes.
Yeah. And let's just say I've saved the websites mentioned just in case, things change in my personal life.
I remember after that episode, I was looking for zoophiles that have outed themselves on social media, and they're surprisingly hard to find for some reason.
You weren't looking for anything.
It is surprising. A couple last moment things that we cannot let fall by the wayside before we dive in. There's a whole situation at University of Michigan with sign stealing. I'm not that interested in any of it, but what I do like is when people talk about it on TV. Charles Woodson weighed in. We have two clips for this, and this is before the big game where they beat Penn State.
So listen, am I mad? I'm only mad because I think the whole thing is bullshit. Okay, right? That's why I'm mad. But other than that, we're going to be fine.
Yeah. And that aired on Fox on the network, by the way, not
nice.
Not FS1, FS2. That's not from the website. And it's interesting because, and we'll definitely talk more about this next week. The cuss words are definitely sneaking through a lot faster and
Yes.
looser than they used to.
Yes,
You know,
and they should, frankly. Because Fox is also over the air, right?
yeah. That's
Well,
it's just like NBC.
Yeah, you can definitely get in trouble for that. Holy shit, that was
Yeah, so Woodson might get the Janet Jackson treatment.
Yeah, maybe.
But Easy, you sent me this one. This is interim Michigan head coach Sharon Moore, and he's very emotional after the big win the big upset win against Penn State.
Yes,
and let's the three of us enjoy this together.
To win on the road in this environment when there were doubts. Sharon, what does it mean to you?
I want to thank the Lord. I want to thank Coach Harbaugh. Fucking love you, man. Love the shit out of you, man. This is for you. For this university, the president, our AD. We got the best players, best university, best alumni in the country. Love you guys. These fucking guys right here. These guys right here, man. These guys did it. These guys did it, man. Talk to him, man. Love you.
Thank you, Coach.
and then he's
I mean-
out.
Thank you, Coach.
He goes, this fucking guy right here, and then he pieces out. Talk to him, and he leaves. And this poor Blake Corum, he's like, oh shit, what the fuck am I gonna do?
When I saw
yeah.
this clip originally, I assumed Jim Harbaugh had passed on to the afterlife. I thought he was no longer with us.
Yeah, this was a win one for the Gipper moment. That
I couldn't believe when I found out he was sign stealing. I was like, this reaction is not. It
No.
doesn't add up.
Well,
Yeah.
football players are crazy. They're fucking idiots, okay? And so this is what they do, especially Michigan. They're the craziest of all of them. They're
Sure.
fucking psychopaths. So this all adds up in my mind. If his kids died, he'd shrug. But if he wins a big fucking game, big deal, Jesus.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't find the swearing to be offensive in the least, but I felt like they should have blurred the coach's face out because he was just crying so much.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
as a
gross.
as a Michigan man, as a proud man who is expected to lead other men into battle on the gridiron, but still it is a battle. I don't know. I think he should have been ashamed. All right.
I'm surrounded by these assholes where I live. Let me tell you, they're all psychopaths. The Michigan fans are the worst. The worst you'll ever find in any for anything following any team. Holy shit.
So you mean just the university? Obviously, Tiger fans and Red Wing fans, they're all right.
No. Hey,
all of them. Okay.
Telling you, Michigan fans are psychos. They're all lunatics, every one of them.
It's weird because I don't know about you, Mike, but I've never heard the diehard fans of sports franchises are crazy. I'm sure you've never witnessed any Red Sox or Pats fans who've done anything outrageous in all your time up there.
We can get a little rambunctious, Christian.
Really?
Don't you doubt us.
Well, for an excellent transition into our next segment, they're also a big fan of their sports radio. Let's spend pretty much the rest of the show now with some great moments in broadcasting history.
WATB. Way back into time.
Let's find out who are these broadcast histories.
And, I grew up in New York, Mike and the Mad Dog on WFAN, regardless of the quality of either of those broadcasters by themselves, everybody listened, everybody had thoughts. And in Boston, I know there's a lot of pairs, right, Mike? A lot of teams, but Toucher and Rich, I guess for the last 17 years, have pretty much been number one in that market. Is that an accurate assessment?
No. So they've been together for about 17 years. But 98.5 is a relatively new sports station in the last 10, 12, 13 years or so. WEI forever was number one. And then when 98.5 came around, EEI started to suck. And then the Kirk and Callahan show popped up and was number one in the mornings. That's my old boss, and I'm still a guest on the Kirk Minahan show a couple times a week. When he was in the mornings, at WEI, he was Toucher and Rich's competition. So I think during that time, KNC was pretty consistently number one, but they were pretty neck and neck with Toucher and Rich. And then since Kirk has left radio, not only Toucher and Rich, but 98.5 in general has dominated to an extent that, like, I don't think radio's ever seen before. Like, WEI, their competition, is just so bad now that literally mornings, middays, and afternoons all do in the 20s for ratings.
Well, and again, I don't want to bore people in the audience who don't want to hear about shares and ratings books. But by the way, we've got clips that deal with that in a little bit. But I am curious: does WEI did they lose the radio rights for the Red Sox at some point, or do they still have them?
No, they still have the Red Sox.
Okay.
And there was this weird thing where the companies that own the two stations merged. So they could have had the Patriots, Celtics, and Bruins and chose the Red Sox instead, who have sucked. So I don't know why they made that decision, but that's where they're at now.
And your understanding as somebody, in that market, obviously, that it doesn't seem to be a show that's been a part of your life, but your understanding of the show, just try to describe it in a nutshell for our audience who maybe doesn't know the Boston radio market, what this show is and who Fred Toucher and Rich, I'm not going to try to say his last name, are.
Yeah. So Toucher and Rich, but I haven't listened a ton. I listened back a few years ago, but not a lot. Like I said, I was a fan of their competition in Kirk Minahan. So I can't, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the show, so I'm sure other people could describe it a little better than me. But the general idea is they were they were on a rock station. They were a talk show that was on a rock station. So it was kind of like a comedy show. And then when they went to 98.5, they had to gear it a little more towards sports. So like diehard sports fans say they don't talk enough sports, but their actual fans probably say they talk too much sports. They're somewhere in that mix. And from what I can tell, it seems like they have the Opie and Anthony dynamic in the sense that Fred is considered the funny one, has a personality, does voices, is funny off the cuff. And Rich is a glorified producer who comes up with like bits and show prep and all that, but like on air doesn't add a lot. And I know I've heard Fred saying like you didn't know a lot about Rich's personality, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's the basic dynamic of that show.
Well, that's interesting because in a moment I'm going to play three clips that actually had me thinking that Rich was the Anthony in the relationship and Fred was the Opie. So you see,
really?
Clips don't tell the whole story. Go ahead and I mostly just want to hear Eric read the chat, the beloved chatta in this super chat.
Thank you to Reverend Shitstain Powerful Pooper for $2. Says WATB, who are these blinders with a hard R?
Hey, wow, that's not our word. We don't get to say that. Come on,
Lord.
I didn't know what Eric was doing there with some other chats. I thought you had another one, but no, that's all right.
I just double.
So this 17-year partnership came to an end just as recently as last week, and I wanted to bring Mike on to talk a little bit about it. The little research that I started doing, because I reached out to you, I hadn't actually dug that deep, but I found stuff like this first clip that I'm going to show, which this is media day at the Super Bowl. I don't know which one it is because let's see, it's XLVI. Oh boy, so that's
46.
40. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I was gonna have to carry the. All right, so now we know. We finally 3 months in, we know what our roles are on the show. Eric, you're just gonna read all Roman numerals. But Madonna was the halftime entertainment, and Rich from the Toucher and Rich show had a question for her.
In sports, and I know that you spent time with athletes before. You're friends with many athletes, Alex Rodriguez being one of them. Is it true that he has an oil painting of himself depicted as a centaur, half man, half horse in his home?
Well, the audio is much lower than I thought it was when I recorded it, but he does ask Madonna, who I believe at this time was dating Alex Rodriguez, if he has a painting of himself as a half man, half centaur in his home. And Madonna, look, she's a little quicker on her feet than the guy who was trying to rap after the Grand Rapids weather ball. There's a big laugh in the room.
If he does, I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure he has a very large photograph of me.
All right. I mean, look, for Madonna, that's a fucking home run.
all right.
I mean,
Yeah. Every radio guy's wanted that opportunity to pull the Stuttering John thing, but I think one of the people on here said you should have asked, what does Dennis Rodman's cock taste like? That would have been a hell of a lot better, frankly.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it tastes like Fruit Loops. This isn't the only time that Rich had a moment at one of these. This one is a little bit more geared towards the radio show. And if there's Roman numerals in here, I'll just let Eric spout them. But Tom Brady was speaking, and this was after decades of success. This is when he was still with the Patriots, though.
Tom, when you called into the Toucher and Rich show in Boston under a fake name the beginning of the season, did you mean it when you said that you were the greatest quarterback of all time?
Ray's just laughing here.
How you doing, Mike?
Looks at the next guy.
This is different, this media day, from maybe the first one that you remember.
With an awful question.
I don't remember the first one. I don't remember that one.
Don't worry, Rich isn't done yet.
Did we even do that at the stadium? Yeah, I don't remember. That was a quick turnaround that whole week. But I think the one in
Do you remember the wedding proposal? Was that the
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
that was pretty crazy.
But do you remember when you called in under a fake name to the Toucher and Rich show? I think
Are you on that show?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
I am, as a matter of fact. When you said that Bill Belichick was the greatest of all time, did you mean that too?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, on the show?
Yes.
No.
No. Okay.
No, it wasn't on the show.
But when you called in, what inspired you to call in under a fake name?
Are you on drugs?
Which is, of course, the laziest way to call someone out ever. I think we've all seen that. Like, oh boy, looks like he's got some of the wacky weed over there. This guy, how about this guy over here?
I fucking hate these. They always just bum me out whenever I see someone doing this. It's just, I don't know who the fuck laughs at this shit, but it's really fucking annoying.
Well, yeah, I'm Team Brady on this one because it's like, what the fuck else do you do with that? Like, I don't think it's a funny bit, really. Like, hey, remember when you called the show? No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because like even in some scenario where Tom Brady does call a sports show under a fake name, what you think you're going to get him to? You're going to surprise him, and he's going to admit to it.
You cornered me.
It's like, you know what, Rich, you got me
now.
I think I don't know. I think I hate the awkward. I don't know. It's terrible. For some reason, I can't do it.
You just a word of the wise. You should never watch The British Office. I think if you don't like awkward,
I have.
It's not nice inside. Well, you know what? Look, I think you might like this one because this has nothing to do with sports. This isn't even media day. This is just a goofy video that Rich is a part of. I don't know what venue this is. I assume it's outside the Garden. And this is, I believe, after a Justin Bieber concert. And Rich goes out and pretends that he is part of Justin Bieber's entourage. And he interacts with the crowd like this.
Before he comes out, we need your cooperation. Before he comes out, I want to ask you 3 questions, and I want to hear you answer loudly, okay? Who here loves Justin Bieber?
No, Mike, you weren't supposed to yell. That was just for the girls.
Say again.
Who here is his biggest fan?
Don't yell.
Who here thinks that he has yet to go through puberty?
That is a top-notch
I love that.
video bit.
That
yeah,
is fucking great.
The clip goes on too long, but one of the guys who's like working security actually high fives Rich for asking that.
Yes. God, that was really good. That I liked.
All right. I
Quite a
figured I
highlight
could win
really
you
put
over
together.
with that. What's that, Mike? Sorry, I was.
This is quite a highlight, really put together.
Look, this is great stuff. Well, don't worry because I think that this might speak to what you were saying, and I was kind of well, I'm gonna say I was a little disappointed that this is one of many instances in recent months where Fred was out, and Rich was doing the show with the producers, and I guess they have a recurring bit on the show. And again, remember this is regular radio, but it's called Fart Court, and the video is kind of.
This is when you use your.
Well, this is why I did it. They've got the British barrister wigs on.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Okay, banging the gavel.
Queef Justice Wallach.
The word queef.
And newly ordained.
What? What the hell?
I don't have anything prepared, but
You don't have anything down for this?
you don't have for this part. I really think this.
Yeah, so he doesn't actually have anything prepared. He's like, well, I got the wigs and the hammer, and I figured we would just wing it. And I don't know. I mean, I think that we hear a lot about fans of radio. We hear a lot about 90s shock culture. And I think Rich embraced it, but realized that, you might have wanted to have some good writing there. So,
yeah, I think that would have helped, but at least they're having fun. They seem to be enjoying themselves. I mean, it's not as awkward as it's not the worst thing I've heard, just because they seem to be having fun.
Yeah.
Which is very
Does this
important.
that's
Go ahead,
probably
Mike.
a good way to describe their show. Is like it's not the worst ever. It's not for me
Yeah.
necessarily, but it's like if it's fine. Like what they seem to have fun with it.
Well,
Right,
you got to
exactly.
understand, most people that are listening, they're well in tune with the bit. They know what's going on. So
Sure.
if you take a stranger to just show up and say, "Is this funny?" Of course they're going to say no. It's like anybody who comes in here and they've never seen or heard or know anything of what we do, and they're gonna judge it based on the first 5 seconds of what they see.
No. Eric, the people in the chat who hate this show and hate you and I, actually, the majority of them watch every single week. So I think that might, I might be poking a hole there.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And look, I'm definitely knocking the lack of preparation for the bit. The fact that Rich is doing this when Fred's, out of town or in rehab or, who knows, we'll talk about, what Fred's been up to over the last 17 years, but I do have to commend them. What they do is they play news clips or clips from various broadcasting, not too different than this show. And they decide whether or not they're a fart. I could not find the actual video of this clip, but for a show that loves on-air miscues, this is kind of an all-time newscaster interaction that includes a fart.
How the end of the week will play out, but first you were saying there's going to win tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the sorry. That's going to be the case as we go through tomorrow into Thursday.
Okay.
Sorry, things happen.
The fact that I assume I think that's the weather guy. The fact that he addresses it and he apologizes to the female anchor, that's why. Look, that sound, the fart. Yes, the fact that it follows the word wind. All right, that is pretty great. I'm like, all right, you know what? I feel like as a younger man, Mike, maybe when I was a kid, if I was driving around, I probably would have tuned in for Fart Court. If
Absolutely, especially if you're used to it. So what ultimately led to this? I heard that this breakup was pretty bitter.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Mike. That's let me talk over Mike. This is why I brought him. No.
I wouldn't say I know much. Again, my insight is all stolen from shit Kirk has said on the show.
Yeah.
For the most part. So basically what I've gleaned is that they've hated each other for years. It seems like Rich is a little more.
We might have some clips that reflect that. But
okay,
anyway,
good.
finish your thought, Mike.
I was in a radio job that's exactly the main guy. I fucking hated that guy. I still hate that guy.
Here's the interesting thing though, is to the public, everyone kind of assumed Fred is the difficult one to work with because he's had a lot of battles with. He was out for different sort of like mental health leaves, possibly some substance stuff. Like around the time he got divorced, He would be like tweeting all kinds of weird shit at odd hours. So there was a lot of speculation as to like how Fred was to deal with. So I think a lot of people just said like, oh, they'll get rid of Fred, and because they're doing 20s in the ratings, they'll just replace him with whoever, and that show will probably be fine. But it seems like Rich is kind of an asshole, and the moment that always stands out to me, as I believe this was reported by Kirk Minahan, was that Rich showed up to a meeting, like while all this contract stuff was going on, and the stuff with Fred. Also, last winter, Fred's voice was shot, and he was out for a while. I don't.
We
really
have
know
we
what
have
that
a
was.
clip where he has a really bad voice. Yeah.
Yeah. So during that time, I guess Rich had a meeting with management, and he did not speak. He walked in, like refused to speak, gave everyone in the room the silent treatment, placed his phone on the desk, and his wife was on speakerphone, and his wife spoke for him. And then at the end of the meeting, he picked his phone up and left.
Oh, that's almost like, hey, Yoko, do you think we should do another album?
I mean, Jesus, yeah, like legitimately taken out of that playbook.
Yeah. And at some point within the last year, I guess they had always negotiated their contracts together, but then they each negotiated separate deals.
Okay.
So that's when you start to see the writing on the wall. But I pulled a very small snippet of this local Boston newscast that was reporting on it because there's two things that stand out to me in here.
It's a big shakeup at a popular Boston radio station. Co-host Rich Schertenlieb is leaving the highly rated Toucher and Rich show. WBZ's Tiffany Chan joins us live. Tiffany, this was pretty sudden. What happened here?
Yeah, Lisa, a lot of listeners want to know exactly what happened. They seem to get along so well on the radio.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so there's two things in there. That it happened suddenly. Our next clip might indicate that it wasn't so sudden. And oh boy, they sure seem to get along so well on the air. Mike, how many times have we heard that? Eric and I can't stand each other. I believe Craig is suing you for a variety of reasons.
Sure.
But we put the show on for the people, don't we, Mike?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm always mystified by, is the ability by a lot of these guys to do a show. Like even Opie and Anthony would acknowledge that there was some sort of tension between them, or like make jokes about how they don't talk off the air or whatever, but it never came through on the air. Like Mike and the Mad Dog, same thing, where there were glimpses like of, or maybe you could tell they didn't like each other, but like day to day, you weren't like, these guys must hate each other. And Toucher and Rich, same thing. It mystifies me that for 4 hours a day, you're able to fake it well enough to fool the audience,
Well, Mike, I don't want to delve into your personal life, but you're not married, right?
I'm not.
Yeah, you might understand one day. That's
Fair enough.
That's the only observation.
It is true. It is a lot like a marriage. I've been in situations where when the mics go off, no one speaks. So you'll be having a good time, and everybody's doing those fake radio laughs. And the second that you're done, ha ha! And then as soon as the mic's off, it's silent.
It's so strange to me.
Oh, it really
happens so often that I believe it. But
it's destructive to our mental well-being. It's absolutely terrible. And when I got finally, it was almost like a mercy firing, frankly. It was very tough to pick up the pieces, but at the same time, it was good to get out of it because I hated this guy so much.
Didn't I read that you wore a suit to be fired because you wanted to be well dressed for it, or am I making that up?
No, it's true. They suspended me for a week, and then they go, all right, come on in. We want to have a conversation with you. So I knew they were going to fire me. So I was like, I want to go out like a mob guy. I'm going to put on a fucking suit. So I put on a suit, and they come on. They go, why? Hey, how come you're all dressed up? I'm like, I don't know. I figured if you're going to fire me, I'm going to dress like a man.
I love that. That's and you and I will do the same the day that Carl fires us and wants to replace us with Tukey and Corn Diff. I think they would do a much better show than us.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So in terms of the notion that a lot of the things we're talking about are evidenced here in the clip I'm about to play, you're going to hear Rich having some vocal problems. I think he missed, I believe I heard 6 weeks at the beginning of the year. And I don't think Rich was too happy about it. You're going to see that the audience notices, and the glee on Rich's face when this caller calls in will also tell you that okay, so yeah, they're actually not that close.
And it's like every day I would show up and I wouldn't know who I'm doing the show with, who is in the other room. So, I mean, if you're asking why, I seem like I'm putting on more of a management role, is because I have to. It wasn't my choice. I was thrown into it.
I mean, that's a good point.
Now, listen.
It sounds like, I guess you guys might not know what Fred actually sounds like. But it sounds like a joke voice that he's doing.
Yeah, no, we have clips with his normal voice, and I wanted to pull clips of his announcement on the air, but I was like, there's nothing I can. It was so like long and drawn out. I'm like, there's nothing I can pull out of this,
right?
And so he's got the voice here, and this to what you were saying, Mike. Rich is like, I guess, saying that he's taking on more of a management role, and there's I guess maybe a little resentment in there.
I also am somebody that I don't want people to have to worry about stuff that they don't need to worry about. And I also am somebody
that take that advice for yourself. I mean, there's some things you don't have to worry about.
I mean, sure, but I also
you shouldn't have to worry so much about the syndication.
Well, but then again, that's part of the job. That's part of the business. It's not just that. It's like so much stuff.
No, but the syndication stuff, you should relax a little. Let your guy take care of it. Chuck, go ahead.
As if your voice isn't grating enough, now we have to listen to you whine. What do you think the poor kid's all upset about? Listening to you every day whine.
Rich is loving
No,
it.
yeah, it's more than that, though.
Yeah.
It's more than me. There's just
you need a vacation, buddy.
I already had one. I had to leave for 4 days.
And thanks, Chuck. And the craziest thing through all of this, the ratings have been better than they've ever been. And it has been one of the toughest 5 to 6 months of radio that we've had to do. And there's been nobody here.
Plus, we moved over the summer.
And we moved, and there's technical stuff, and the ratings are the best they've ever been.
By the way, as a former radio producer and I don't know, third, sometimes fourth mic, there's times to not chime in when you're the producer, and this would have been one of them. And we just moved, right? As
right,
yeah.
Who gives a shit? You know what though? I like that they're acknowledging it. You know why people listen? Because it's drama. That's wonderful. That right there, that little back and forth. I don't know shit about this radio show, but just that whole dialogue when they're talking about the show, and then the caller gets involved and tells the other guy to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Right. I agree with that. The issue I've always had with this show and shows like this is like, so they'll do this for this segment, which is like they have a very honest discussion. I think they handle it pretty well. But the rest of the 4 hours, they act like it didn't happen. Like they go back to talking sports or whatever. That's what's weird
and
to
then
me.
Then they slide over to fart court for a little bit, and you think,
yeah, exactly. Whereas if I'm a fan of this show, I want you to do 4 hours on it. Like I want to hear air everything out. But they do it for this segment, and then they move on to other things.
Yeah, it's because the audience is kind of used to what you described in terms of like what people want to consume these days. They want more of that, but their radio is completely different. It's not like a podcast. They don't have the ability to carry that on and then shut it down for a commercial and then come back and do it again. It just kind of doesn't work,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like as fun as it would be as a Howard Stern listener, when you'd hear callers, fans of his calling in and goofing on John DeBella in Philly, that stuff was fine. And it's like, okay, great. Some of the radio funerals are entertaining, but it's like, let's not talk about it every day. It's I agree with Mike. It is interesting, but it's like, oh, we're back to this.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just the amount of time that Howard would spend on it, although considering what the show is now, I would welcome tapes of some of that stuff. But to what Mike said earlier, that I guess Kirk Menahan is someone that obviously being in the same market, and he was also on mornings, right? He was up against them, Mike.
Yeah.
And I guess that this was a few years ago, but Fred really, he really gets worked up, and I marked this clip in my notes as "Okay, Boomer," because of how excited he is about radio numbers. And look, people like us might be able to talk about it all day, but my thought was, are people enjoying this? And maybe you've never heard this, but he is talking about your friend Kirk here.
Yeah.
You appeal to 20-year-olds.
Oh boy. Why don't you read the 18 to 34 numbers? Okay, here's the challenge. Here is the challenge. Do this right now. And tell me if you are a radio person, tell me what you want. Okay? Okay? Read right now the 18 to 34 numbers and the 18 to 49 numbers. Read them now. Read them on the air now. Mr. Reality, Mr. Captain Fun, read them on the air right now.
There's a little more to this clip. Does that seem like you've probably known Kirk for a while? Does that seem like something that would be good advice? That he's like, yeah, that'll make for a good show. Do you think he would take Fred's advice to heart?
I think Kirk would have gladly done it just so he could shit on Fred for an hour. So I don't think he would have a problem with that. But yeah, I think that was a weird battle they would get in where they would say, well, this demographic, Toucher and Rich was number one, or this demographic, Kirk and Callahan were number one. This demographic, you have to add the like there was a station in Providence that was also WEI, so you'd have to have those numbers. Like there was this whole. It was weird to me because they were bickering over both having very good ratings. Is essentially what the radio war came down to.
But at the first quarter hour, we had 2 more points than you did. But then, yeah.
What? I mean, that's what they say about all those radio wars. It feels like, and I did this because I covered Howard Stern versus Opie and Anthony. That's a real one. Where
on your show, Why Are You Laughing? A fantastic
that's correct, actually. Thank you.
It is a very one-sided battle. Howard is very you didn't have a lot of clips from Howard, not for lack of trying on that, right?
He didn't participate a ton, but
no, he did not.
But like those guys seem to really hate each other. But like a lot of say Opie and Anthony's rivals over the years, like if you asked them or if you asked Anthony about it now, I'm sure he'd be like, oh yeah, like I've liked those guys or I didn't really have a problem with them, whatever. And it seems like when Kirk talks about Toucher and Rich now, like he kind of has sympathy for what Fred has gone. It doesn't seem like he hates him, but it seems like he hates Rich, which is the consensus that I've gotten from it. Like it seems like everyone in radio, while like on the surface, Fred seems like he would kind of be the asshole to deal with. By all accounts, Rich is just a hunk of shit to work with. I've never met the guy, so I have no idea.
But didn't you hear what he said to the Justin Bieber fans? That doesn't do anything for you, Mike.
That's true. That's a good point. I'll have to weigh both sides.
He is the judge of fart court. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Eric?
No, I was just going to say radio guy will always kick the can down the road if people are enjoying the show. Especially if your show has great numbers like these guys obviously do or did. You don't care. You're all making great money. You all just bottle it up and you go home. Eventually, you might get to this point like they are, and then that's it. It blows up. It's just a human relationship.
Well, it obviously meant a lot to Fred. Rich doesn't really participate in this clip, but he goes on a little bit.
You're a crash and burn disaster. Read how many young people you appeal to with your stupid garbage. Go read it. Read them. Read them right now. I'll wait. Twitter, Rich. Yeah, Twitter, Rich. I'm very young. Twitter, send Rich. You Twitter, do the tweet to Rich. You tell Rich exactly if they say it on the air. God bless them. And read the numbers. Read them. Not just the place. Read the numbers.
It's a professional broadcaster there, but obviously
it's also funny. It's also funny because like his argument is the youth, and then Kirk went to work for Barstool.
Yeah,
Fred's still stuck in radio.
that might come up in our next clip. Rich eventually decides to play along.
386%, by the way.
Yeah,
that's just a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for the people listening. 18 to 34, how much we beat them by. 386%. But it doesn't matter, Rich. It doesn't matter because.
That's the ultimate radio guy thing. It's like, yep, well, we got 386% more. And it's like, all right, so you did actual math. Like, you didn't say, oh, yeah, we're like 4 times as much. No, it's 386% more.
Yeah, right.
And, this is very important to these guys.
18 to 34, how much we beat them by. 300. It doesn't matter, Rich. It doesn't matter.
Go ahead, Eric.
It's important to note that no one gives a shit about 18 to 34 and 18 to 49. The only thing that matters is 25 to 54.
This was Kirk and Callahan's argument. I believe Kirk would always say, like, well, yeah, we're beating you in the demographic that matters. That's why we're bragging about it.
Right.
The demographic that doesn't have mommy drop them off at soccer practice.
The reason why is because 25, 54 are the ones that have money. Okay. Right. So the advertisers Burger King, Cadillac, whatever, they buy the top 3 stations, 25.54, top 5 stations, cost per point. So it's all about money. They don't buy 18 to 49. They don't buy 18 to 34. And they don't look at just men or just women. They look at adults, 25.54. So this fat fuck going on and on and on about the teenagers that listen to his fat fuck show. Shut the fuck up. No one gives a shit.
Rich is very skinny, so probably it averages out. There's an important moment at the end of this clip that I thought Mike would appreciate, but we're gonna have to listen to another 40 seconds of ranting and raving.
Because what the companies really want to go after is someone whose median age of listener was 50. Was it 50?
I think it was a little have money.
Yeah, I think it was higher than that. Yeah, right. Yeah.
57?
Good.
Okay,
That's what you want.
Read those numbers without poo-pooing them. You can't poo-poo them. You have to read the numbers and justify why they don't matter. And then I will come on and I'll say, you know what? They're the most honest show in the world. And then when you buy a Caribbean island and move there without another place to broadcast, or you can go to Barstool Radio, I suppose.
Yeah, that was why I included that clip. So
what a terrible place to wind up.
Yeah, Fred clearly saw the writing on the wall, though. Although, actually, wait, there's a couple seconds more.
You can move your family to New York City and take on that salary.
But I believe Kirk did not have to move to New York City.
He didn't
apparently,
have to,
yeah. Apparently, you can do a show from a lot of different places. I'm in Los Angeles, Eric's in Michigan, and Mike is in an undisclosed bunker somewhere in New England. So, yeah, I just, again, as a radio nerd, I loved hearing this guy get that worked up over it. Just how passionate.
But here's the thing about Boston
ego.
Radio that I wish existed is like they never do that. Like Kirk would bring that out of people because he was influenced by Stern and all that shit. Like he liked that kind of radio, so he would bring that out. No other shows in Boston do that anymore, which is disappointing. That's why I don't really listen to like sports talk radio or any of that shit anymore. I fell off of it because they all kind of do this thing where they pretend, even like Toucher and Rich split up after 17 years. They do the one segment acknowledging it, and then they kind of go back to pretending it didn't happen really, which is so bizarre to me.
It is.
Yeah, no, I'm sure the next segment was here's why Belichick shouldn't be fired. It was probably the other 3.5 hours. Yeah.
They're in a tough spot, but moving forward, I've never had to, I've been at the other end of that where my old show had to then go on without me. And I agreed when they would say, well, what do you want us to do? Talk about it every time we open the fucking mic? No, you can't. It's kind of like you move on.
Yeah.
True.
Well, I've got a couple more clips. These are from 2021, and Mike, your old boss, your friend Kirk Menahan, plays some clips of Fred Toucher on the air, and he was, I guess, on this day later asked by management to go home because, as Kirk described him, he sounded compromised. Now, this clip is very important, this clip and the one that follows, because Kirk is joined by a young, fresh-faced up-and-comer who has a lot of promise in this business. It doesn't look like him, but there's one Mike Geary in this clip. So,
is that right?
It's you without the glasses, without the beard. As this clip was playing, I was like, oh, fuck, that's Mike. Didn't realize it was you at first, but there's some very funny drops of Fred that I guess the producers on Kirk's show managed to work in here. And I guess it's audio that other Boston radio people had reached out wanting to get, but somehow you guys had these clips that nobody else did because they did not post them online after the show ended.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to the other stuff. I don't like hearing Fred Toucher, my old rival in morning radio, honestly sound like this morning. I don't think this is a good thing he's on the air.
He hates Jews.
I didn't hear that clip yet. I didn't hear that
today.
Jews are awful.
Wait a minute. What? Is this true or no?
No, he's talking about what Nick Cannon is saying.
Oh, well, stop.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. But as we talk a lot about on this show, it's very easily done to isolate things that people say And yeah, those words did come out of his mouth, but he was attributing them to one Nick Cannon. What were you going to say?
We have a good one. We have a good one where I forget what Ojeda was reading, but he's reading something and he goes, "I guess we're having Jews for dinner." It's as if he did that so we could have that drop.
You should have said J words. Oh, but sorry, we don't
Yeah,
talk
I'm
about him on this show either. Sorry, that's my mistake. But I think that Kirk, as somebody who clearly knows Fred Toucher, he has, I think, a little insight on the situation in this.
Jesus. Well, I mean, look, he's welcome to speak his mind.
All I want is that I'm fascinated that you can attack Jewish people and
Is
not
it today or
there's
no?
no repercussion, right? That's all I'm fascinated with. That's it. And you know what? I'm right or am I wrong? I don't know.
Oh boy.
I mean, so Fred, I guess Fred announced he's getting a divorce on the air or something today.
Yeah, I'm getting a divorce.
Okay.
You're getting a divorce. That explains a lot, man. You got to.
So we don't need to dwell on this, but this
Relax.
is
Just relax.
this is definitely a moment that shows that this is a guy who, and you referenced it earlier, Mike. He clearly had some problems. He went through a divorce. He, I guess, missed time because he signed himself into detox, which not all credit to somebody who realizes they have that problem and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna have to miss work because boy, do I like to drink. So. Should we read this chat from Liam McEnany, Eric?
Yes, it's the perfect time as a palate cleanser. As Liam says, for $20, Blatt, are you still reading top contributors' chats at the end? Here you go. Would you like it now or later?
Well, let's do it now because remember that one guy got mad when you didn't read it in the body of the show.
Christian Blatt, would like to thank my personal guru, broadcasting mentor, and grandfather, Joseph Goebbels. Please know this is not a joke.
So, unfortunately, when you have truly funny people in your life, he gets the joke. And I'm surprised we don't get more of basically that.
Well, yeah, if they would just look past, saying horrible things about me, they would have more fun doing what Liam just did. So there you go.
No, that's the thing, too. People get to say bad things about you for free. They have to pay to
Yes.
Let's
you wouldn't believe some of the terrible things these cocks are saying on here. I will fight every one of these motherfuckers in the street.
And you will. Well, let's tidy up this portion of the show right here.
I guess I think he's really strong. I think he's on some personally, it sounds to me like he's on some painkillers.
Why is it? But why is it that I'm like addicted to chemicals? Like why is that part of it?
I don't know. It's maybe what are they saying? The way you speak. I mean, maybe
slurring and this and that.
I mean, slurring right there. I mean, I don't.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was the point I wanted to make. So, look, obviously everybody's got problems in their lives, but this guy's on the air. Be like, what did it say to him? Slurring? And I'm like, well, yes, Fred.
It was
that's
also
what we're
a
saying.
time where like he's a guy that I don't think he uses Twitter a ton. And then, like, during this time would go on Twitter tirades where he was saying weird shit that no one could really understand. So I think that also built onto it where people are like, oh, he's just unhinged or something's going on.
They should have fed him more drugs, more booze, paid them more money to stay together. This is gold. This is fucking great.
Yeah, right.
So you think that they should have basically checked him out of rehab?
Yes,
and paid Rich whatever it took, and be like, no, keep doing this show.
Burn hot. Give him more. Give him cocaine, strippers, everything.
Well, do you think that would have been a good recipe for success there, Mike? Is that what the Boston market needs?
Yes, actually, I do. I'm with Eric. Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
That's not boring. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because then he's going to crash and burn. He'll go into a home. He'll go into rehab. He'll come out. He's a new man, and then he's going to do it again.
Then we can all talk about that.
Yes.
The last person that I have a clip from is someone that should have some insight on this. Former radio personality Greg Hughes. People know him as Opie of the Opie and Anthony program. He's been in radio since he was 18, although not the last few years, but 18 until 60 or whatever. He was in radio. And if he hadn't posted this as a clip, I don't think it would have even caught my attention. I certainly wouldn't have pulled it. But in true Opie fashion, he decided that people needed to hear his take on the breakup of Toucher and Rich.
For sure.
What do you think about Toucher and Rich falling apart? It happens to a lot of radio guys, man. A lot of radio guys. Toucher and Rich, they were a very, very popular radio show after me and Anthony left Boston, and they had a hell of a run, obviously. And now what? They're on the outs. A lot of radio guys, they end up on the outs. Without getting into the drama, what happens is like it's a pressure cooker to do a high-profile radio show. You're with the guy every day for hours. You're really uber focused on trying to get something done. You pretty much see your radio partner more than like your family. And then the pressure of doing it every day and entertaining an audience. And then you got ratings coming out. If they dip a little bit, then you're feeling that stress and that pressure. And I think, I've said it a bunch, like I said, without getting into the details today, because I really am trying to do less of that.
Quick pause on the Opster. You follow Opie pretty closely. Do you get a sense that he's trying to move away from talking about the Opie and Anthony show, Mike?
No, a few months ago when you remember when Anthony tweeted the video of the guy that looked exactly like Opie?
Yes. He saw some guy who looked like Opie in a restaurant. Yes.
Yeah. At that, so for whatever reason, Opie went on a tirade where he's like, "You and I are done. You leave me alone. I leave you alone." So after that, we would check in every so often, and it was literally, conservatively 80% of the videos he would post had Anthony's name in the title and Anthony or Jim Norton's name in the title. Either Opie and Anthony Cumia, me and Anthony hate each other, Jim Norton sucks. These were all the titles, and yet he would say, like, we're done. I'm done addressing you. So he plays this act like almost weekly where he says he's done with Anthony, but then knows that's the only reason people are watching his channel.
Well, he's got about 30 more seconds on it here.
Less of that stuff, but unfortunately every day it's what people want to talk about on my live stream. But without getting into like the specifics, the Opie and Anthony show in the end just wore me out. In the end, it just wore me out.
He's been doing this for like 8 years now. I guess 9 years at this point. Anthony was fired.
Yeah.
Opie didn't decide the show was over. That's what I don't understand. Is like he keeps saying like we all knew the show was coming to an end, and the show wore me out, and I was sick of working with Anthony. Anthony was removed. Like there was no indication that if Anthony didn't get fired, you were suddenly going to break up.
Yeah, I think that if Anthony hadn't been fired, I would assume they'd still be doing that show.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, it would have been 10 more years. That's a long time. You know what? I think the idea that Anthony wouldn't have said or done something that would have ultimately resulted in him being fired, I guess, in this current climate.
It was coming.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead. We got something from Deng Lizard. 5 more euros. He is giving us a lot of euros.
He is.
We're gonna have to exchange. Them.
I think I think he feels bad for us. 5 more euros from Deng Lizard. He says, "I, Eric Zane, hereby challenge Blind Mike to a boxing match. So watch me beat a blind guy after he does the arrangements for it." Well, that's very kind of you to say, and horrible. That won't be Christian sign off, but thank you nevertheless.
That's getting very close to Stuttering John content, and we try to be the show, Mike, on the Who Are These Podcast Network, where we don't talk about Stuttering John. We try really hard, but
it's very bold of you.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult, especially in weeks like this. Well, this is the point in the show where we should be done. We should be wrapping it up with the plugs. We've been doing more than an hour and a half. It should be time to go. But unfortunately for everybody, we do have one more segment. And if it's not like you don't get enough of him, Mike, you're going to have to sit in with a visit with our pal Hackride. But I have to say, I know, Eric, you don't think that this is a high bar. This is my favorite Hackride segment that he's sent us. So let's try to keep an open mind.
How many has he sent you?
This is like the third or fourth.
This guy.
Yeah.
What shows doesn't he work for?
The Opie radio, but I'm sure that he's at least reached out to the Opester. But so he's got something for us, and I let him know that you were going to be here, but I don't think he took the bait. I thought it was going to be 5 minutes of mic bashing, but.
What is going on? Hello? Did you miss me? Oh, did you miss me? Judging by the WATB Reddit, you did not miss me. No. And I don't care. As long as I have Christian and Carl in my back pocket and the naked pictures of them, I will contribute.
I will not comment.
Will it be my best work? No. Definitely not my best work. Will it be adequate? Well, we're all just here doing public access, so grading on that curve, yes, adequacy will be achieved. So this week, I have learned a new human phrase. You humans with your phrases are amazing. This word is called cuck. To cuck. To fuck your women while you watch. Yes, it is amazing. Also something Eric Zane must be very aware of. Oh yes, I'm going to cuck you. I'm going to cuck who are these broadcasters. Yes, and steal your Hall of Fame bit for myself. Yes, and do it on your show like a master hack. I'm a magician. Yes, a hack-magician. Anyway, welcome to Hackride. Hall of Fame. Yeah. There it is, Hackride's Hall of Fame. Yes, not stealing from you at all. Oh, anyway, one of my favorites from all time. The best broadcasting clips ever. Cast your mind back to the year 2014. The Los Angeles Clippers, they're in turmoil. A tape of their owner, Donald Sterling, has just been released, saying some awful, horrible things. Not really everyone, but mostly about Magic Johnson. Oh, Magic Johnson. He went on the Anderson Cooper show, gave the greatest single interview of all time. Would you like to see it? All right, here we go. This is Donald Sterling, the ex-owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. I gave away some of these. I think you know the story. The interview is just amazing. Let's watch.
I mean, here is a man who's, I don't know if I say this, he acts so holy. I mean, he made love to every girl in every city in America, and he had AIDS. And when he had those AIDS, I went to...
When he had those AIDS, this 2014 was an amazing time, wasn't it? He had those AIDS. We would not say that today. But Donald Sterling was a different time and a different man.
My synagogue, and I prayed for him. I hoped he could live and be well. I didn't criticize him. I could have. Is he an example for children? You know, because he has money, he's able to treat himself. But Magic Johnson is irrelevant in this thing. He didn't do anything harmful to anybody, and I respect him, and I admire everything that he does. He's got AIDS. Did he do any business? I'd like, did he help anybody in South?
I hear you laughing, Eric.
HIV.
The clip's funny.
Well, what kind of a guy goes to every city, has sex with every girl, then he catches HIV? He's got AIDS. What do we want to respect and tell our kids about? I think he should be ashamed of himself. I think he should go into the background. He's got AIDS. Do for the black people. Doesn't do anything. He does nothing. It's all talk.
So are you saying that African Americans don't contribute to African American communities as much as Jewish?
There's
people
no
do?
African American. Never mind.
Oh, he lost it.
How much would you pay right there to finish that thought? Donald Sterling, 10 years later, we will still give you money. Tell us what you were thinking right there.
I'm sorry. He's got AIDS. He's got AIDS. He's got AIDS. And when he had those AIDS, he's got AIDS.
Isn't that amazing? That was one of the greatest interviews of all time.
Agreed.
Listen, it was only 10 years ago now. It seems like it was yesterday. Thank you, Donald Sterling. And before I leave, I should probably show you this, because Donald Sterling had a right-hand arm man. Would you like to see her? I think we all remember her. Yes. Yes. So this was Barbara Walters interviewing Donald. The lady didn't even give her a name. He was nameless. Just a nameless weirdo. You remember that shield she had on her face? That was so weird. Anyway, you can buy those in Venice now. Here we go.
Can you tell me what your relationship with Donald Sterling is?
I'm Mr. Sterling's right-hand arm man.
What?
I'm Mr. Sterling everything. I'm his confidant, his best friend, his silly rabbit.
Oh boy.
What?
His what?
His silly rabbit.
His silly rabbit?
Yes.
Is that what he calls you?
No.
No.
No, that's not what he calls me. Yeah, it's just the greatest 2 pieces of interviews ever. Anyway, that is part of my Hackride's Hall of Fame. Yes, 2014. Back when midgets were midgets and retards were retards. Yes, the good old days, they call them. Anyway,
Simpler
speaking of
times.
retards, back to Eric. Hey-o!
Okay.
Yes.
It was better than the other ones because I don't know. There was less.
Because he was
of-
focused.
Yeah, I mean, what a fucking
Stuck to a
idiot.
topic.
He's
Can I
such
say
a-
this? That's way better than anything he does for me.
Yeah,
I was
don't
about
know.
to ask. That's why I wanted to make sure that you were
Yeah.
still on when we played it. I wanted to know how it compares.
You gotta let him know that he sucks shit. And like
No,
I
no,
have.
no.
And if
No,
you tell
no,
him that, then he'll try harder. The first one he did, I was like, oh God, please give me a shotgun.
No,
He's a delicate genius. I don't want to rattle his cage too much. But.
No,
I do.
I appreciate the contributions that he makes, mostly because I like how much it annoys Eric. But I look, that was that it wasn't concise, but a show that an hour show that we're already at an hour 40. Who am I to judge somebody who maybe spends a little bit too much time? Now, he has a request for us. He's doing his last episode of Puzzle Box, and he asked if we would dance to some music, but I feel like you guys aren't going to play along. I feel like the last
We'll
thing
not
that Eric
dance
Zane
to
wants
any
to do,
music.
you'll not be dancing.
I love
So-
dancing. I'll dance. I don't give a shit.
All right, so no matter what music he plays, he'll just put it in under this. So can you pretend dance? And Mike, you just look along. You know what? Let me rearrange us right here. Mike, you can disapprove while Eric and I dance for Hackride. Literally dancing for Hackride. Just a little bit, just a little something. And so
Okay.
far, I'm the only one dancing.
Okay.
Mike's like, I've never been happier to be legally blind than this very moment right here, to not be a part of this. But thank you to Hackride for presenting us with that. And more than anything, Mike, thank you for spending just so much time with
You
Eric
hear
and
him?
I.
He goes,
Thank you, guys.
And Mike, I feel like if we had started a text chain about the breakup on Toucher and Rich, it probably would have involved me sharing a lot of the same clips. And this way, we did it with an audience, so I thought it was fun.
Very
but,
nice. Yes.
please let everybody know where they can find more of Blind Mike and his project.
BlindMike.net is the easiest place to find all links for everything I'm doing. My YouTube is there. Please subscribe if you're watching live right now on YouTube. Then go over there, Blind Mike Project on YouTube. Subscribe. Everywhere else you get podcasts at blindmike.net. You can find all the links for Blind Mike Project, which I do live every Sunday on YouTube. Why You Laughing, which comes out every Thursday on all platforms. And Who Are These Socials, which we do live every Thursday night right on this YouTube channel. And then it comes out on all platforms the next day. And if you want to become a Patreon or YouTube member, you can subscribe there as well. So go to blindmike.net and you'll find all of those links.
And I am so proud of this show that Eric and I do. I love this show, but I tell anyone who listens, my favorite show of the Who Are These Podcast brand is Who Are These Socials, partially because of Tourette's Girls, but especially because of your friend Delete Laws.
Good.
The fact that he goes around and oh, why'd you pull me over, pig, to a cop, and he's like, well, actually I didn't pull you over, sir. We're just standing here.
When Carl and I meet the same demise as Toucher and Rich, I assume he will take bail and Dupree and I'll get Delete Laws in the divorce.
And look, I think it's only fair, in
Yeah.
all honesty. Eric, if people want to keep in touch with you, where do they do that?
Many places. EricZaneShow.com is my website with links to my Facebook and everything else. And of course, my daily podcast is free. And then I have a Patreon, which you can also sign up to for free for 7 days. But just start with the free podcast daily, wherever you download shows, and see if you like it. And yeah, that's it. I
Your
do it
first
every day.
taste is free, kid. You know, I
Yes.
get it. I know.
Show's
I know.
also on Twitch. I'm on Twitch, Eric Zane Live on Twitch. If you want to see it live, I go live every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time.
And of course, our review girl, Zia Anderson, will be back with us next week. So please leave us a review wherever you review podcasts. If it's a good one, it will be featured on the show. Just remember the rules. It's a little bit of a variation on the WATP rules. We do want a 5-star review. We do not want you to make fun of me in the comments. You shit on
Yes.
Eric Zane all you want. You must say something nice about me. I don't want anybody saying anything mean about me in our
he is
5-star
a fragile flower, but I have rhino skin, and you fucks can say nothing that will upset me. I can promise you that. I'm better than you at everything.
And you can also leave us a voicemail. Go to whoarethese.com to find the number. And while you're there, of course, make sure to sign up for the Patreon, get all those bonus episodes. Follow me social media at Christian DMZ, my personal podcast, The Blackcast, BLADTCAST. But it looks like it's quitting time, Eric. So if you can put my sign off for today on the screen, and I have to read it. Those are the rules. So remember this next week, dang lizard, if you want to get something else into my mouth, as they say. Remember, every mic is a hot mic. But I, Christian Bladt, would like to thank my personal guru, broadcasting mentor, and grandfather, Joseph Goebbels. Please know this is not a joke.